Alright, welcome back. I'm at the woodland we planted earlier on this year, and today we're here because we've got to replant some of the trees that have died. So going back to a couple of the previous videos, we've had some problems with the bracken and the grasses, but we've managed generally to keep on top of those issues, and the trees in those areas are doing fairly well. However, some of the areas, the soils are quite thin, and we really had some dry conditions earlier on in the year. So in May time, it was really hardly rained at all, and in those areas it had quite a high tree death. And if we were to leave those areas now, we just wouldn't really have any woodland going forward. So we've ordered about 1,500 new trees, so about 2% of the trees that we planted at the start, and we're here today to replant some of those. So if I just turn the camera around a bit, you can see, so this hill here is like a prime example. So the soils here are like pretty thin on top of the hill. You might be able to make out a few kind of rocks. So the bedrock is like, if you put a spade in, you're pretty much hitting it all the time. So it really didn't hold on to the water that well. So pretty much over the entire top of the hill, probably like a 90% death rate of the trees. We decided to slightly adapt the species in some of the areas. So in other areas where it's kind of a bit more patchy, we are just generally replanting the same trees. But on top of the hill here, where it is really thin, we decided to plant more of the, what you say, the pioneer species are. So that's birch, silver birch, and Scots pine. So hopefully that's going to work well, but let's see this time next year. But hopefully we're planting the trees now in October, so that gives them a bit more time. Maybe the roots will start developing this year, but if not, as soon as the conditions change when we get into next year, the roots will hopefully start growing. So if we do get some dry weather later in the summer, then maybe they're going to be they should be a bit more advanced, and hopefully they'll survive those periods. So previously, when we planted all the trees in March, we had professionals came in. They're really fast and efficient, and definitely something would have taken us a huge amount of time to do if we'd done it ourselves. So but this time we're going to plant the trees ourselves for a variety of reasons, but you know, it's kind of nice to have planted some of the trees ourselves going forward. All right, so here we've got a dead tree, so come on, in and have a look. So first of all, okay, maybe you potentially could not be dead, but if you can see, if you maybe come in a bit closer, if I just like, it can just snap. It snaps quite easily, whereas a new tree, like a living tree, let's get the actual one we're going to plant, is like very flexible. So if it's dead, it generally is like a twig. It just snaps quite easily. So we're going to replant this one, and oh yeah, so this is a tree planting spade, and you can see it's a bit narrower because you don't really need a wide thing when all we're doing is planting this plug. So we're planting, these are cells, they're called cells, tree grown cells, whereas when we planted originally they were mostly bare root. So this is because we can plant now while the tree is still in leaf, whereas if we're only planting bare root, we'd have to wait until it was dormant, so like November, December time. And it's better if we can get them in now. It just gives them a few weeks even now potentially to establish some roots basically. So yeah, I'm going to make a bit of a hole. So yeah, if you come in a bit, you can see what I'm up to. So it depends a little bit on the soil. So here I might just gonna wiggle it around a bit and then push the cell into the ground. So I'm trying to get it so it's, this is not very quick, this one. So the cell's just below the ground surface, and then it's gonna like, it might look quite vigorous, but I'm just gonna squash the ground down either side because we don't want any holes or voids around the tree. And then we're going to take the original, it's a bit broken, but anyway, we'll use it for now, the original cane, and push that in next to it. And then the Volgard, you're just going to open this up and wrap that around the tree, and then we're pushing that into the ground because we don't want the Volgs crawling underneath. So the whole point of the Volgards is to keep stop the voles from eating the tree. So they basically like eating through the stem of the tree, which kills it. So we need to push it into the ground, make sure they can't get underneath, and then that's it. So not super fast, and it's taken us, it does take a while sometimes to locate the tree, especially in this longer grass. With the tree being dead, we're just looking for the volgard and the cane, so it needs to be a little bit, well, sticking up, otherwise you're having to like thrash through the grass to try and find them. So it takes a while. And obviously, if you really want to see how the pros do it, if you go back and watch one of the videos from earlier in the year, like March time, you'll actually, March, April time, you can actually see how the pros do it. And they probably plant a tree in like 15 seconds. But obviously you need the time between each tree to like go to the next one, and they got to go back and collect more trees, and they're carrying them on their backs. So yeah, that's kind of briefly what we're doing.
In the forestry industry, the replacement of newly planted trees which have died is called beat up.
So we planted about 1,200 trees the last 2 days between, well, it's kind of been a variety between 2 and 6 of us here. And we've got another maybe 300 or 400 to plant, so not too bad of progress. Of course, the real test will come next year to see whether these trees survive any potential droughts we have. So maybe this time next year we can come back to these specific areas and see whether they've actually taken. Right, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying following along, and I'll see you in the next video.